Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, Devin, the Dungeon Master for Lost&Found Incorporated stream. We did our first stream yesterday on May 12th. But we had an issue with XSplit. Turns out that it um, wasn't recording our session, but it did stream, but it didn't record it and save it. So I'm here to fix that and give a little recap. Uh, the best I can because wow, did I accidentally mess up, and that's really demoralizing, but it's okay. So, I hope you remember the characters from Session Zero. If you watched it, it was Ivana, Melith, uh, I've already forgotten, Nima, and Balin. Balin, Nima, and Ivana were already all together. They were on a sad skid on their way to Waity to investigate the necropolis. Um, and once they arrived, they went to where all the gatherings of other, other groups were gathering to see how the lottery was gonna go. They saw someone kind of going from group to group to group, kind of asking questions, but then kind of walking away before they're giving an answer. That was Melith. He then reached to their group, and they came to an understanding of a common goal, and he decided to join them. From there, they they put their hand into the lottery after taking a rest at the Tooth and Nail Inn. I forget their group name, but they because it was very strange. It was like I think it was Silver Dagger Smoosh or something like that. Something not something fun. Um, from there, they ended up they went to the next day, and then they ended up getting their tomb assignment with the whole Sebti the crocodile intro. Ceremony began. Balin was a representative, so he went up to Septi to get the assignment. Um, he asked why she's called the crocodile, and she refused to answer correctly. They were given their assignment, their location. They were assigned to the tomb of Akentepi. This was their first challenge. So they did make their way over to the tomb. They were at the very beginning. It was a rectangular stone mausoleum sitting in what appeared to be a lone old graveyard. There's a double set of doors. There's a likeness bearing on the door of an Osirion man, and there's sand heaped around the crypt bearing the doors. Um, Nima thought it'd be a good idea to maybe hit the door with her quarterstaff. She was able to, barely denting the stone. Um, but as they kind of looked at the door, they noticed that there's no hinges, there's no handles. But as they kind of look around, they notice that there's old tools that seem to not deteriorated too much. There's like a hammer and a like a railway spike or a piton is what they call it in this. There's also like an old crowbar. Um, but before they could actually use these tools, though, they spent an hour wiping away and cleaning up the sand that was in front of this door. It took about an hour of sweaty labor. Together they were able to. Ivana tried to open the door with the hammer and the piton, but alas, wasn't strong enough. But with the help of Nima, they were able to get the door open. As they kind of go in the room, there's engravings and with fixtures on the wall. There was a heavy stone wheel on the south side of the wall. The air was very stale and rancid due to decades of no entry. But all four walls bore a engravings and hieroglyphs. There was a small track in the floor where the stone wheel was kind of stuck into. And the hieroglyphs that they were looking at read, Akentepi's tomb is well defended, and those who defile it tempt the wrath of the gods. The only thing the Lady of Graves despises more than grave robbers are unsuccessful ones. And it says, turn back while you can. And I'm not sure if I don't think it really phased anybody. But as they were kind of looking around, I believe Nima and Ivana or Balin, I believe were able to push the stone wheel to open a 5 foot kind of opening to the next room. But as they did that, a giant ghost scorpion, ambushed them and surprised Melith and was able to grab him by the leg and do some damage. Melith then did reply and slap it in the eye stalk. But the scorpion also did reply to that and stabbed Melith with his poison stinger. The fight kind of went on, and then everyone was kind of missing. It's kind of a lackluster fight. But then I believe Nima was the one to kill it. I might be wrong. But as they killed it, it kind of exploded. It's an ethereal goop, and it kind of like viscera, and it kind of slid down the wall and then disappeared into nothingness. From there, they gathered themselves. Melith refused to heal himself, even though he had a bum leg and a sting wound. They went to the next room through that 5 foot hole, which is the upper staff room. So there's a small square room with no markings or adornments. It's very dark. There's a square 10 foot shaft in the middle of it. Nima, using her low light vision, could see kind of far down. She also saw that there was a pit stuck into the floor, with a length of rope going down into the actual hole, but the length of rope was cut after a couple feet down into the shaft. Nima was first to get down very quick. Was able to just kind of, expertly grab where she needed to grab and go all the way down. And then once she got to almost the bottom, she noticed that there's no more wall to grab onto. It kind of just ends, and it's a ceiling that she's kind of hanging out of. But she was just able to drop the 10 or so feet to the bottom of the tube. From there, we had Balin and Mavel follow. They had kind of trouble. It took them about 3 different tries to get all the way down. Melith, with his bum leg, had a disadvantage. And on his way down the first time, he kind of slipped and tried to grab the rope, but the rope turned straight into ash and just disintegrated. But he was able to catch his footing again. And Nima, flash forward to Nima, there's just ash raining from this tube in the ceiling. But sooner everybody's able to, get down the shaft. As they kind of get down there, there's a war. As you kind of look at the walls, there's these carved, painted pictures of a warrior. He had a scarab-shaped shield, and a khopesh, which is kind of like a scimitar. But both of them were the same. As I kind of looked around for traps, as would any tomb, they didn't really find any traps. They did find traps, actually. Scratch that. Balin looked for traps, but he didn't look good enough, and he saw a crumpled up body in front of the door that they were going to go through, which is just right ahead of them. As Nima kind of went to go for it first, they heard a ka-chunk as one of the tiles on the floor sank in, and darts barely grazing and barely puncturing Nima's armor, but still doing some damage, caught her. Everyone saw that, so they kind of started just following in a line, kind of jumping over the tile, as it was only set in a line. But of course, Melith was unable to make the jump perfectly with his bum leg, and he took some more arrow damage. But with kind of looking at the dead body, they did notice it was a half elf who obviously died from the fall. Both of his legs are broken. Nemo was able to interpret this. When Nemo was kind of looking at the body, she found 2 metal pitons, a usable hammer, and 2 alchemist fire, which is good in a place like this. On the walls of this trapped corridor, quote unquote, there's a picture of the same person with the sword and shield, with the scarab-shaped shield, but it was depicted as an older person. From what Melis was able to kind of gather up from his learnings, that was that this probably is Akentepe, because it has a similar crown of a pharaoh. From there, I think Ivana also decided to pick up a rib bone from the body. I'm not sure why, but hopefully that will come into play later. From there, they were able to push open the doors and get into the foyer. When they got into the foyer, they saw a faded tapestry hanging on the western wall of the chamber. It depicted a man accompanied by a woman and 2 children. On either side of the tapestry, there was 2 pedestals. which both sat a preserved and dead animal. And there's also two other sets of doors and the doors they came through. As they're kind of looking around, they figured out that the cat or the yeah they were cats. That the animals on the pedestals were cats. Malith, as he was kind of sketching all these paintings, he sketched the carvings and he's sketching the tapestry now. He kind of learned that from these drawings that his family befell some kind of tragedy, possibly a murder, leaving him wounded. I think as Balin kind of pondered this tapestry and just tomb creation in general, that maybe that his family was in the tomb somewhere else. So as they kind of finish up just looking over this room, I think Melith made note to come back for the tapestry if he's able to. But then Ivana had the amazing idea of opening one of the doors, but they decided to. She talked Balin into opening it with one of the mummified cats that he sneakily snuck into his bag. Did I forget to mention that? Yeah, he just put a mummified cat in his bag. But he did try to open the door, but the cat ended up snapping in two as he kind of threaded the cat through the door handle and just pulled on both sides and just snapped the cat in two. I'm not entirely sure what he did with it. I'm not sure if he kept it. I'm just gonna say he kept it. So he just has two pieces of cats in his backpack. From there, they went into the next room. This was the chariot chamber. This was a brightly painted chariot. Sits in the center of the room, and beyond the chariot was a large canvas stretched between two giant stone pillars. The canvas had stretched skins of antelopes, great cats, and crocodiles. Now they're kind of like old and torn and weathered. There was a wooden chest that sit on the southeast corner, and each of the room had a small shield mounted in the masonry. They're all shoulder height. There's an open hallway leading to the east and stone double doors leading to the south. Which being the way they came. So as I kind of looked around, they saw that the chariot was worn, but it wasn't destroyed. It was still brightly painted, but it's still definitely missing some paint. As Nima kind of looked around, she noticed that there was a shield, or the shields are actually torch holders, and that the skins on the wall are probably trophies from the Pharaoh's hunt at some point. Running up on the end here of the session, as there's a lot of intro. As they're kind of looking around this room, just kind of gathering information of what all this is for. Balin actually decided to look for traps just to make sure. In his immediate vicinity, he did not see any. But Nima ended up going up to the chest and successfully disabling the lock. But it ended with a chunk, and that's where everything ended, and that's where we will end right now. So thanks for listening. This is just a recap of session 1 since the footage didn't record correctly. But I have since sorted that out, and we should be good to go on the next stream, which I believe is June 9th. So thanks for listening. I hope you guys are enjoying this, even though the first session kind of bummed out and didn't work. But hopefully you're watching it. This has been me, Devin, your dungeon master for Mummy's Mask, and I'll see you around. It's a Sunday right now, so happy Mother's Day. Go hang out with your mom. Okay, peace.